Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm the managing editor of APC Media. This is DISTRIBUTECH International 2024 Interviews with Thought Leaders. Enjoy. So we did this about a year ago, Claudia Cosoreanu and Claudia Blanco. A lot has changed in a year, so that's what we're going to talk about. But in case nobody listened to last year's, we want to send them there. But tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get in the power industry, and what is your role at GE Vernova?
Okay. So first of all, great to see you again.
It's good to be
seen. Thank you for having us again. So I am the Grid Automation CTO, and I'm also leading the product line for protection, automation, and control. I've been with the company for more than 20 years.
Really? So, you can't be.
Yes.
I mean, it's like you just got out of college.
I know. Well, don't take that as the truth. And so a lot has happened in the last year, like you said. But I think this is the right time to be in the industry.
Right.
This is the most exciting time in the energy
Claudia,
industry.
I wish I were 20 years old, because this is the time of great change. You're right. So
Yes.
Claudia Blanco, tell me about your background, how you got into it, and what you're doing with GE Vernova now.
Right. Now, I think I've been around in the industry for about 30 years now. Yeah, don't say it. I know. I have to remember all the time. And I remember 15 years I was more in the automotive world, in different roles in engineering, development, business lines, industrial side, and R&D. And then I moved to the renewables world, so to the energy businesses 15 years ago, actually. And I've been around the different businesses of renewables. And I moved to Grid Solutions in 2018 now. So I've been learning the business, still learning the business since then. And actually, I'm industrial engineer as well as computer science. I did my MBA, executive MBA, and I'm doing right now a master on sustainability and circular economy, where I'm learning a lot, and a master on psychology, so to keep myself busy. But yeah, I'm learning a lot, and it's trying to keep always at the last.
To keep yourself
level.
busy, that's good.
I feel like I need to add to my my curriculum, because I'm joking.
I know. We do Women in Power Systems. I think we featured both of you in Women in Power Systems. And the people back at my home office, if I didn't mention Women in Power Systems, they would say, but these are two Women in Power Systems, talk about them. But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the technology and what you're doing. First thing I want to ask, and this to your point, Claudia, about we have seen so much change, and this is a good time to be in the industry. It seems like, particularly the last 5 years, we've seen more change than we saw in the 100 years previous, right? And I use the analogy, the hockey stick. It does this and it starts to turn. I think we're just at that part of it. We haven't even seen what's coming. So before we get to what's coming, let's talk about how did we get to where we are now? You're in Grid Automation, and you're Chief Technology Officer, is that correct?
I am in Grid Automation, so I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Grid Automation.
And I'm the Chief Engineering Officer for Innovation, for Electrification.
Okay. Well, let's lump them together. Innovation in Chief Technology and Automation, because that's where the change is, right? You all are in the right place at the right time. So talk a little bit about where we are now and how we got here so rapidly.
Great. So I think there are two big trends that the industry is following: decarbonization and electrification. So for decarbonization, what does that mean? It's really removing the fossil fuel generation from the grid. And you obviously need to compensate when you remove one form of generation, so adding renewable generation to the grid. So this is a big trend, big initiative by all countries around the globe, by big corporations. They're also declaring net zero targets. There are about 1,000 of them that have declared they want to be net zero by a certain date. So that is the decarbonization. What that does is it just changes the dynamics of the grid. So when you add variable and intermittent renewable generation onto the grid, the philosophy of protecting, controlling, automating the grid is changing completely, and we need new technologies to manage that. I would say that we need. So what we're missing today for this change to happen is visibility into an aging infrastructure. Right. So we need to remember that the grid in North America and in Europe has been built 40, 50 years ago. So the technology is just not there. Right. You don't have the right controls, and also the communication is missing. So we're digitizing the grid, but what do you do with that data? You need to send it up to a control room, and you just don't have the communication infrastructure for that.
So do you want to add to that? Because I'm coming back to you on something. Okay. Remember that.
Great. Totally in line with what Claudia just said. And I think the climate crisis that we are living, it's putting that in the priority of all the agendas worldwide. So it's not anymore something nice to do, it's a must, right? So, and the grid plays a key role, as Claudia says. So we contribute to the electrification, which is one big piece of decarbonization and sustainability. So how to reach the neutral carbon, zero carbon to each of the targets, right? Because we have different milestones that we have to achieve, and they are there. It's not tomorrow, it's today, right? And just to add to that, for the decarbonization and sustainability, innovation is a key piece. It's part of the circular economy. Yeah? Ellen MacArthur, circular economy, and how to reach to that point is electrification, but how we do electrification in a sustainable way is critical. So we play a key role there today.
You said something, and I want to go back to it, because when you talk about decarbonization and electrification, well, how about this? The fact that we've got an aging grid, we have to have all these assets replaced. We have the largest increase in demand that we've had in decades. You know, it's been kind of steady state. Now we're suddenly seeing demand because of electrification. We're seeing extreme weather events that are happening that now you got to keep the grid running. It used to be, I feel like 15 years ago, I was the inventor of reliability of the grid, because that was the Electric Power Reliability Alliance. It's no longer about reliability. Reliability is keeping the lights on. Resilience is get them back on after a major event. So you have everything you talk about. You have, I call it chaos at the distribution end, wind, solar, storage now coming to play a big role. You have, again, I'll use the term chaos at the generation, and the transmission in the middle is old school, right? Big power lines going over. So with all of that change, and you mentioned that we've got when you talk about grid automation, you got to be thinking about the innovative ways that you can, I can see why you two do this together. Talk to me a little bit about all of these fundamental challenges that we're facing.
So, absolutely. So, and you're right that there is chaos at the generation level because of all the intermittency and the variability of the generation that we're introducing, and also the prosumers at the.
I love that word. Say that again. Prosumers. They used to be called ratepayers, right? Now they're prosumers.
Yes. Yeah. So they are changing the way they consume electricity. They are buying electric vehicles. So it is a lot more unstable and unpredictable. Oh, yeah. So the load where, utilities used to know, here's my load profile and this is my generation. Now it's like, okay, so what is the load profile? And it's not easy to predict, right? Forecasting the technology is not there 100%. So what do we need to do? And actually, what's really exciting for grid automation is we just launched a new portfolio, a software-defined automation portfolio that is called GridBeats.
Say that again? GridBeats? Oh, okay. GridBeats. Okay.
And that comes from the fact that we're monitoring the heartbeat of the grid.
Oh, okay, got it. Right.
So a heartbeat has a rhythm.
Yeah.
So does the grid.
Oh,
right?
I like that. That's
so
really
whether
good.
It's a 50 hertz or a 60 hertz grid, you always have to follow that heartbeat.
The heartbeat.
So that's what we do.
Okay.
We're at the heart of that, and we have 5 solutions that we're launching with GridBeats. And I can tell you those 5 solutions.
You will in just a minute, but you're now
that's-
presenting some of the things, because I want to tell you, if you've launched that, there's also a future that you anticipate change.
Yes.
I mean, we can understand where we are today. What does it look like? So if you're doing innovation, you have to project what it's going to look like. So talk to me a little bit about what's the future changes that the heartbeat is going to be able to solve.
Right. I think to add to what Claudia said, is as you mentioned before. So the demand will increase 50% in the next 2 decades, right? So huge. So the challenges are not anymore talking about product or technologies. It's more systems of systems that can solve those challenges, and we are starting to talk more about systems and how we can solve those problems with solutions that are integrated. So as Claudia mentioned, for grid automation, but if we talk about the electrification business itself, right? So it's not anymore just grid automation, power conversion, solar and storage. It's the combination of the efforts, and it's where the innovation will come. Actually, it's how you get to respond to the grid stability or the inertia that is not anymore with the renewable high penetration, right? Because we will have an expansion, and there is where critical systems start to play a key role in the innovation side. Like we talk about grid forming is kind of a buzzword that we are trying to decode, and how we can contribute with grid automation solutions, the digitalization, power conversion to converting from DC-AC. So those are it's really the innovation path. Right. So combining efforts to solve the inertia issues, to compensate how to handle flexibility, because it's not anymore one flow. Is bidirectional, is intermittent, is electrons moving, right? So it's a lot of digitalization, a lot. Data management is going to be critical with the cybersecurity as well, and how you control the assets as well. It's part of the equation, plus other things. So innovation is going to systems to systems.
So you said 2 words that I'm going to come back to you on, because it's decarbonization, right? Now you're talking flexibility, but digitalization. I mean, everybody talks about digitalization, and it kind of goes hand in hand with grid automation, right? If we don't, some people say digitize, some people say digitalize. If we don't do that, there's no way that we can be as flexible as we want to be. And that's kind of where we're at the nascent end of digitalization. So talk a little bit about now decarbonization. I'm going to add another one, decentralization. And one more, data management. Now you got 4 Ds. Talk to me about the 4 Ds of grid automation.
Okay, so I would say that GridBeats is actually covering all of them, right? I want to come back to that.
Okay.
So, and maybe before I say what solutions we have under GridBeats, digitization versus digitalization. The way we think about it, digitization is really instrumenting the grid.
Okay.
So you're changing analog to digital everywhere. Digitalization is what do you do with the data once you digitize?
Well,
so
just
I
never
digitizing.
Knew that. I thought it was the same word. Okay, digitizing, digitalizing. Got it. Thank you.
So that's how we think about it. And it starts with the edge. It starts with the substations, where, as I mentioned earlier, we have aging grid. The technology isn't digital. We have electromechanical relays, and that's what the industry is known. I would also say that the digitization's been a journey since maybe 15, 20 years ago. So we're not that bad from a digitization perspective, although some of the utilities are still behind. But what you do with the data is what's important. So we're thinking about, and we talked about this last year as well, integrated digital substations. So you have a top-down engineering tool, you have a software-defined, centralized protection and control, you have wide area advanced automations. And this is how you utilize the data that you're collecting from the sensors to manage the grid, the reliability, stability, and the resiliency. And the word that you said earlier, no one is thinking about resiliency. It's not that they're not. It wasn't as important. Now it is,
Right.
and that's what we're looking at providing for our customers. We have a very cutting edge type of solution with zonal autonomous control. So with that solution, we're looking at splitting the network into autonomous zones that can be managed remotely without the control center control, and that provides resiliency, which is, once a disturbance happened, you recover the fastest possible with the minimum impact.
Okay. Hold on to that, because I'm coming back to that, because you keep wanting to talk about the beats.
I do want to talk
I know
about
you're
the
going to
beats.
you're going to do that next. How do you manage innovation in the midst of all of this change?
So,
Or do you?
or do you? That's mainly the point. So I'm not involved directly. It's more her innovation
I'm
office.
just talking about innovation with all of this change.
I'm innovation for electrification, which means that I contribute to actually to bring acceleration to the innovation main strategy items that we have in collaboration with our main customers and partners of choice. So, which means that today we cannot talk anymore of grid automation innovating without our customers and without partners, right?
Right.
So, and I think Claudia will talk about that in a minute. No, so it's much more difficult to solve the problems of today, talking about just a solution than talking about this collaboration. So how I contribute to that is that way. We need to understand what is the market dynamics. We need to understand what is the industry main challenges, and this is only talking with our customers, being in industrial forums like these ones, listening, learning, asking the right questions before to jump into, hey, here is what we need to do. So this is something I try to bring since now a year and a half. It's a cultural change. It's more, we are in the design. We understand the problems, but the problems can be solved in multiple ways, right? So we can say grid forming or BEATS, but BEATS has been listening to the industry and to the market to say, this is the problems that we need to solve, but how we solve it so that the customers understand that we are solving for them, not for what we consider. So collective convergence is key, and finding ways to solve those problems that really matters to the customers. And it's a journey. It's not something that you learn the first day. Organizations are changing because they are adapting. We are adapting to the new challenges, and customers are doing the same as we do. So it's kind of the perfect storm. So new organizations, new people, new challenges, new everything.
I'm busy.
Yeah?
I'm busy. I mean, it's just too much. Okay.
It's a lot. So,
now we're going to come in and we're going to put a stake in the ground. Guess what you get to talk about? GE, Vernova, Beats. Talk about it.
So we'll start at GE Vernova maybe. A little bit, just to explain what the portfolio there is. So GE Vernova is a purpose-built company.
And Vernova stands for?
Vernova stands for Verde,
Green.
Nova, green. Verde, green. Nova, new world.
New World Green.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
We
now.
want the new world to be green. And so the portfolio is designed to support the energy transition, decarbonization, electrification. We have, so GE Vernova has the generation portfolio, which still has the gas power.
Oh, yeah.
And gas power will be needed for the next 10 years at a minimum.
It'll be the next 30. Okay.
I'm just going to say 10 years, but
yes,
I'm kind of in agreement with you. We do have wind, both offshore and onshore. We have the nuclear business that's coming up with the small nuclear reactor technology. We do have the hydro generation. And then we have electrification. And under electrification, we have high voltage transformers, circuit breakers, so high voltage equipment. We have grid integration business, like an HVDC or a FACT, flexible AC transmission systems. And then we have grid automation.
So all of the about the grid, about electrical, kind of got put together in GE Vernova as opposed to, hey, this is generation and this is that, which is brilliant because that way you can serve the market, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The only thing you didn't mention was solar.
Well, solar and storage, it was coming. You jump
Okay.
in.
All right.
So solar and storage is part of the electrification business, actually. We also have a business that's called power conversion. So
Is there anything you
variable
don't have,
frequency
Claudia?
drive. No, so that's the beauty of GE Vernova. It does bring all these components together from generation to really edge of the grid, and with the GE Digital umbrella that is orchestrating the grid with the Grid OS. Okay.
And then you created.
And then we created the GridBeats. So so GridBeats is a software-defined automation solutions for digitalizing the grid. So that is at its core. As I mentioned earlier, it is GridBeats because we do monitor the heartbeat of the grid. And there's 5 solutions in this portfolio. So the first one is integrated digital substations. So with the top-down engineering tools, with virtualized protection, wide area protection, and automation solutions.
Okay. Is that just for new substations, or can that be retrofitted?
It can be retrofitted, but it is a little bit more work. And I think customers are going to wait until they have to. But the new ones and the extensions of the existing substations will be digital.
Which is a lot of what's happening right now.
Yes. And they actually have a lot of demand. So when I say top-down engineering tool, this is really helping them accelerate the deployment of their substations. So I mentioned zonal autonomous control, really cutting-edge thinking there with the autonomous zones. We have energy APM, which is an asset health monitoring solution that uses online data, offline data, and a physics-based digital twin of the assets to reduce the maintenance cost and increase reliability. Physics-based digital twin.
Okay, haven't heard of that before.
So that is a digital twin that is based on the physics, the model, of everything that you have on the grid. Every electrical equipment can be translated into a formula. And that represents that asset, and that's the digital twin. And it's physics-based, not statistics-based. So that is the energy APM. Device management is another component of the portfolio, which gives you visibility to your fleet down to the secondary device level. And this uses technology like auto detection, remote provisioning, asset health monitoring, and it improves reliability of the system. And then the last one is network management systems. This is for telecommunications networks, and it improves the uptime and the throughput. Also, it gives you the ability to monitor and manage your multi-vendor networks. So really, like I said, I think I mentioned that earlier, but I'll say it again. With GridBeats, we're really the co-creators of the digitalized grid, together with our customers and the industry partners.
And back to what you said, Claudia, innovation requires collaboration. You couldn't do all of that unless you had a very collaborative environment to do that.
And so if we think about what happened since last year, we talked a lot of collaboration with customers, and we're seeing a lot more interest from them on digitalization. We are working with governments and customers to fund these technology developments so that we can prove their scalability.
So what did you do in your spare time?
What spare time?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Maybe you had some.
I do a lot in my spare time.
Okay.
It's part of the healthy
balance.
Healthy habits.
So we're going to do this again a year from now,
yes.
Okay? And we're going to put a stake in the sand and say this is what we talked about last year, and you're going to tell me what changed, because you know what's coming? Change. And I think it's brilliant, because that is a lot of change from GE Vernova to, number one, corral all of those different parts of the organization, and then number two, come up with a cohesive heartbeats a heartbeat of what the new grid looks like, and it is desperately needed.
Absolutely.
So thank you
I
both
agree.
very much. It was brilliant. I enjoyed seeing
Thank
you
you.
again. We'll do it a year from now.
Thank you.